Jade. Oh, thank you so
Hello.
much. We're honoured to welcome you, beloved.
Denise and Gina, who in the next role, isn't it? You've got Denise coming in with you. And
right.
they travel around New Zealand receiving and transmitting ancient and cosmic water codes that activate our inner compass that guides us towards the new earth. So ancient galactic and interdimensional water keepers, architected codes and that are stored in the waters and preparation of the future for our future time. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also looking forward to this very much as well. So we'll just hand it over to you, Gina.
Take it away, beloved. Show us how to do a daily cacao ritual. Thank you. Bless you. We love you. Have fun.
Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Gina Noetica and I'm a certified cacao ceremonialist. I've been doing it for 3 years and I've been drinking cacao daily for 3 years. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about how to do it and why you might want to take up the practice of doing it. My story really was I was really curious about ceremonial cacao and what it can do for me. And I started drinking it 3 years ago and I noticed a really significant shift within myself and my ability to connect with nature and other people around me. It really helped to expand my heart. And I'm quite a quiet, introverted person. And I noticed that after a cacao, about 20 minutes after having a cacao, I would start to talk. And the talk would be really nice and deep and meaningful. And I noticed that if I gave it to cacao to people who were visiting me, they would also have lovely, deep, really heartfelt conversations. And I really enjoy it for that purpose. Now, not all cacao is the same. You can choose cacao depending on your personality type or the type of things that you're going to be doing that day or your mood or things that you're going through. So when you choose a cacao to have, it's always important to go with your intuition. Perhaps do a little bit of reading about the cacao, see if it's been researched and tested for its biochemical and bioactive qualities, because that will give you an insight as to how it might affect you and affect your moods. So as an example, I've got 2 different cacaos in front of me just to give you an idea about how they can differ and why you might choose different ones. So the Uturanku cacao, which is this one here, it's got the beautiful jaguar. Uturanku means jaguar. So this one is biochemically tested and proven just to bring intense satisfaction within you. It offers embodiment, connection, and spiritual awakening, balance, and joy. It's got quite an earthy, nutty, fruity, floral kind of taste. And you would use this if you're going to be doing quite a lot of internal work. So working with embodiment sort of therapies or sessions with yourself, maybe wanting to do trauma release, meditation, awakening, or internal journeying, mindfulness, and it also enhances your dream states. If you were going to have a cacao daily and it's going to be later in the day, then this is probably a slightly safer one because it's not so stimulating. Cacao in general doesn't have caffeine, not very minuscule amounts, but it does have other stimulants in it, such as theobromine, and this is quite low in that, so it's not overly stimulating. And the Uturanku, which means the jaguar, it also represents and it has the vibrational qualities in it of a protector, of a guardian. And the jaguar is a being that creates harmony and balance in the Amazon. So when we think about cacao, also think about perhaps what's associated with what kind of vibrational qualities the cacao has. Cacao can come from all different regions around the world. This cacao comes from Peru, the northern Peru, close to the Amazon jungle. But you can also get cacao from places like Africa or Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, these other places, and they've all got slightly different vibrational qualities to them. So the Uturanku, it represents what's known as the Keipacha, which is the here and now. So it's your living connection to all natural things in the present moment. So it's a very mindful type of cacao to consume. It also allows you to access though other aspects of yourself, such as the Hanan Pacha, which is known as the world above, and that's your spiritual world. In the Mesoamerican kind of cosmo vision, they have the snake, the jaguar, and the condor. the jaguar being the present moment, the condor being the above world, and the snake being the inner world or the underworld. And so this is really, really good for the acupuncture as well, which is also known as the inner world, and accessing that. And when we drink cacao, it's nice to be mindful of the fact that it's kind of considered like an earth blood, that you're drinking an earth blood, and it helps you connect to the blood of your ancestors. So that's part of the internal kind of journeying that you might go on. You start to become connected with your ancestors. So these this is carefully selected, like the actual cacao beans. It goes through a really, really nice, beautiful process of being harvested, and it's like all the cacao that I use is really ethically sourced, and the farmers are very just beautiful people. They go out there and they have a lot of reverence and a lot of respect for the natural environment, and they work with the cacao in an organic way, really harmonious way. That's also important for the vibrational qualities within the cacao, and you'll be consuming that vibration. So do keep in mind that, you know, trying to choose, say, fair trade and that sort of stuff is really important as well. If you wanted something a little more uplifting, you might want to choose a cacao that has higher theobromine, which is quite stimulating, such as the Amaru cacao. The Amaru is a word meaning snake, and it's represented by the spiral, which the spiral is representing the human connection to our divinity and our universe. And this is very, very uplifting. So this is used more for, say, if you want to do some breath work or some yoga or some dance. People often will replace their coffee habit with using this type of cacao. So I'm going to get into how you prepare the cacao. Hopefully you can see some of these things. So when you buy cacao and you've got it, you can buy it in a paste block, and you will need to shave it if you do. So there's one that's kind of half used. It comes in a big block, and you use a very sharp knife to grind it off. And you're going to want about 30 grams of shaved cacao, which looks like that. It smells great. Smells really nice. So 30 grams is the therapeutic dosage, but if you're quite sensitive and you're just starting out on cacao, maybe just start with between 10 to 20 grams, a really light amount. And if you've got anything like epilepsy or heart conditions, it's always best to start on a lower dose as well, just to make sure that you are comfortable with the stimulation that you may get from the cacao. But 30 grams is the standard dose, therapeutic dose. And you mix it into a cup with hot water. Now, for most people, that is quite a bitter taste, just having pure cacao with hot water, which is the traditional way of having it. We often have a sweeter palate, and so we like to add natural sweeteners. So you might want to put in, say, a teaspoon or half a teaspoon of honey, maybe natural, organic, like real maple syrup. Try and stay away from, you know, cane sugar if you can, because then you're starting to make it more like a hot chocolate, and that's not what cacao is. So yeah, experiment with that. Having something really bitter daily is really, really good for your health. So over time, try and decrease the sort of sweetener that you put in it and just get used to that beautiful bitterness. It's a really healthy flavor to have, and it stimulates a lot of great things within your body. So you can also add plant milk. So what you might want to do is that over the stovetop, you can add your cacao, and you can do plant milk such as coconut milk or oat milk. Or if you want dairy milk, that's totally fine. And over heat, you blend it together. So you can blend it with a whisk, or if you want to go quite traditional, you can use a molinillo, which is this. So traditionally, a molinillo is used. And this is a whisk, I'll show you. And that you do that in the pot, and that blends up the cacao with the water or the plant milk, and then you add your sweetener. You can also choose to add spices if you wish, and I really enjoy this. Especially I like to add things like cinnamon and nutmeg in winter. Cinnamon's really nice and warming on your circulation. And also ground ginger, for example, is really nice and warming as well for the body. And some people like to add cayenne pepper as well, so it's sort of like a chili cacao. That's really nice. Cardamom is another favorite. So, you know, each time you try a cacao, you might want to just experiment with adding a slightly different spice. And for those that sort of enjoy a more mellow, kind of sweeter flavor, you might even want a vanilla, for example, added into your cacao. Now, if shaving a block every day seems like it might be a little bit of a hassle and means that you might not do it daily, you can usually buy cacao in droplets. So these are cacao droplets, and these are about 3 grams each. So you'd want about between 8 and 10 of those, and you can use those instead of using the cacao shavings if that's easier for you. Now, when you do your preparation, it's quite traditional to be facing north. So I usually do my cacao prep in the north end of my kitchen. And I like to pretty up the area as well. So I might have some little flowers from my garden in the area that I'm preparing the cacao. And when I'm feeling really connected with nature and going for bushwalks or outside, sometimes I find little bits of nature that I ask, you know, do you want to come home with me for a little while? And if it says yes, then I'll bring it home and I'll place it near the area that I do my cacao prep. So that can be things like feathers. I've got a beautiful native snail shell here. I've got some moss and I've got lichen. I've got some old deer skin from a drum that I made. So I've got little bits of nature that I have with me. And it just helps sort of set the scene and really get me into that sort of inner state where I'm really connecting with nature, and it helps keep, you know, a nice respectful space as well, and a deep connected space while I make the cacao. Now, when you make the cacao at home, it's nice to choose a special cup that's just for you and the cacao time. And a cup generally without a handle is best, is traditional. Now, the reason for that is that we have the masculine and the feminine balanced out almost perfectly within the cacao making ceremony. So this represents the womb of a woman, the feminine energy, that is filled with the cacao blood. And we have a molanilo, or a whisk, which is quite phallic. This is the masculine energy. And when these two are combined, this is where life comes from. So we are creating growth. We are creating a seed of growth within us. And we will consume, like in ceremony, we consume cacao because we are wanting to go through a transformation of some sort. Maybe it's a healing, maybe it's to celebrate a birth, or maybe it's to come to peace with a transition such as a death. But normally cacao is done in community. And when we are doing a cacao in our own home, we are going through this transformation not just for ourselves, but we're doing it so that we are functioning better within our community. We're doing it for the community, for the world, for the universe. And that is also very symbolic of how a cacao tree grows. A cacao tree doesn't grow alone. It needs to be shade grown. It needs a canopy within the jungle to grow successfully. And it's that kind of metaphor that we think of when we go into our time of drinking and consuming the cacao. We remember that we need a community around us to really thrive and grow and to benefit others. So when you've made your cacao and you're ready to consume it, really take a few deep breaths, nice and deep in, centering your heart space. You want to ensure that you can be undistracted for about 10 to 20 minutes, the longer the better. And you want to hold gratitude in your heart, and the deep breathing and the gratitude will help you come into heart coherence, where your mind and your body and your emotions are starting to work together as one. And the very first thing you do before you take a sip is you connect in with the universe, giving reverence to Mother Earth and Father Sky, as well as your own inner divine source. And you make an offering to Mother Earth or to the universe. It might be to do something, an act of service. Maybe it's an act of kindness. But make an offering, and when you feel that the universe has accepted that offering, then you take your first sip. From that point onwards, you're then setting your intention for the moment, for that day. And with every sip, you keep reminding yourself of your intention. It's a really quiet space to be in, and it's a very mindful space. And you do that as you continue to sip. At the end of your cacao, hold gratitude. Hold gratitude for any of your ancestors or your guides or your team that joined you on your session while you were having your cacao. They may have sat in circle with you, gathered around you. They may have communicated with you. And after around 20 minutes or so of you consuming the cacao, the bioactive chemicals are also taking effect. And it's a beautiful time to do things like meditation, journaling, maybe going for a walk in nature. And cacao is very shamanic in terms of it really does connect you in with the communication networks of nature. So really make the most of that. So I hope you enjoy doing cacao at home. And if you've got the time in your day as well, bring in the elements. I will also often light an incense as I'm making my cacao. When I start with, that represents the fire. The fire is represented by the heat that you use to heat the cacao. You are adding water or plant milk, which is a liquid, so that's a water element. The earth is the cacao bean itself. And the air is the air that you get when you whisk. You get air blending through the cacao. So you've got all elements there, and when it's combined, you've got the steam of the cacao coming up over your face. That is the spirit. So be mindful of all the elements, and there'll be different aspects of those elements that start to resonate with you. All right. That is my time here today talking about the cacao. So if you've got any questions, please get in contact. My Facebook page is Expanding Consciousness. My email address is quantumenergyalchemy@gmail.com. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, beloved, for whistle stopping through that. I learned so much. I thought I knew quite a lot about cacao. Yeah. I love cacao, but I was like, wow.
I love the elements, bringing in the elements and that steam being the spirit, but the air too, that was like, actually. That was really cool.
I've never tried the chili one yet. That sounds exciting. So I'd love to know more about your brand. So I'll connect with you and we'll see you in a wee while.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Bless you.